Cool. So we have you stirred up some controversy saying, of course, a $1 million Bitcoin by 2020, or else you're gonna eat your dick.
Right.
Okay. So hypothetically, if it doesn't reach a million by 2020, how would you cook your dick? So hey guys, my next guest needs no introduction. It's the one and only John McAfee. So we're gonna ask some like fun questions, some serious questions, and hopefully we'll have a good time. So,
right.
John,
I have not had a serious question all day, so I'd be happy to have one.
All right. So, in seriousness wise, where do you think crypto is gonna go in the next 20, 30 years? I heard you're super excited for the long term, but
well, that's way too long term. I won't even be around in 20 years. So no one can predict 20 or 30 years ahead. You can predict 3, 4, or 5.
Right. 3, 4, or 5.
3, 4, or 5. Okay. Two things are going to drive crypto. Number one, adoption. While Bitcoin has been tanking in value and price, it has been climbing in use. The number of users, the number of people who accept Bitcoin is skyrocketing. Number two, and this is vastly more important, distributed exchanges are just around the corner. What does that mean? It means that once we no longer have central exchanges, and they will all disappear eventually, within 5 years they will be gone, nothing can shut us down. It is the absolute end of the war. Governments can't shut us down, financial institutions, banks, nothing. Because I don't care how much power you have as a government, how many police, how many soldiers, whatever, if the exchange is distributed across 20 million wallets on smartphones and laptops and pads, then what do? It is impossible. You'd have to shut down all 20 million of them scattered around the world. You don't know where they are. They don't broadcast their location. They don't broadcast the owners.
You can technically put it on a satellite,
Pardon?
You can put it on a satellite. Technically, you can have distributed exchanges and have that.
Yeah,
everywhere.
whatever. But it makes no difference if you've got that many users and you're using the combined computing power, because your smartphone is a computer vastly more powerful than the world's first large computer that IBM built. So you got this massive computing power, and it is distributing the processing across millions or tens of thousands of wallets. Then you cannot ever shut that down.
And one of the talks I heard about, so we're talking about the distributed exchange, but beyond that, it's about regulation, right? So you had a talk where you said we're all kind of fugitives here. Do you feel like that's the way to go forward? That to fight regulation?
We have to fight regulation. Let me tell you why. What are we doing? We are creating a permissionless society. Because what is crypto? Do you need permission to send me money? Maybe your mom. No, of course not. Do you need permission if you use the regular? Yes. You got to get permission from your bank, through wire funds. You've got to get permission from the government. If I live in America and want to send funds to Lebanon, the government can say, nope, you may not do that. You do not have permission to do that. The blockchain, which is an absolute record of truth, and the permissionless quality of transactions, and our own brains, which serve our own self-interest, if we're sane, is all we need. Now, let me give you an example. The centralized exchanges, most of them are corrupt. Why? We don't know where they are. Hit BTC, the most corrupt yet.
You really hate that exchange, don't you?
Because we get most of the complaints about it. We have 10 times more about Hit BTC than we do about the next.
Same here, like it's just like people just like their funds just get frozen just like that.
Right. Well, why? Number one, you don't know where they are. We don't even know what country they're in. I mean, they could be on the moon for all we know. We don't know who owns it. We don't know who works there. We know nothing about them, and yet they process hundreds of millions of our dollars every day. Good God, if you ran that company, I don't care how good you were, you would finally go, you know what, I think I'll just take some of this because it's not going to matter. You can't stop me. So, of course, they become corrupt.
So in your fight, you never find...
No, let me finish here, because you asked
a
very important question.
All right.
A very important question. So now, if we had regulation, is that going to help? Fuck no. We don't know who they are. All the police in the world are not going to help. We don't know where they are. So what does help? Truth, the blockchain, and self-interest. The blockchain is what? A record of actuality, of what actually happened, of truth. With the blockchain, for example, we get hundreds of complaints. They're going, they stole my money. How do we know? Here's my Ether scan. Here's where I sent them the money. This is what they did with it, and I got nothing back. And you go, okay, you're right. They stole your money. So we have truth. How do we shut them down? We don't need police. We don't need regulations. We need common sense. If we all know the truth, if you send your money to hit BTC, you have a 50-50 chance that you're only going to get half of it back. Then only an idiot would do that, or a person who is not sane. So with truth, if we all see the truth, we all do the same thing, do we not? They're going to steal our money. I have self-interest. I've got a brain. No, I'm not giving them any more money. They will disappear. You cannot exist long where your only customers are fools and insane people. You will disappear. So we don't need the police to shut them down. We don't need anyone to punish them because the loss of their business will be punishment. So we're in a new world. We don't want regulation. Regulation is based on something called force. Because how do you enforce the law? Through force. The police come and break down your door, arrest you, and take you to jail. No, that's nonsense. We don't need that if we have truth. We've never had truth before. Never. The blockchain is the first technology that says, I am the arbiter of truth. We've had what? CNN, they tell their truth. Fox News tells theirs. Russia tells theirs. China tells theirs. America tells theirs. The man on the street tells something else. We don't know. Now we do. Please understand that truth and regulation cannot coexist.
That's awesome. That's an amazing answer. So with all this fight against regulation, you've done some crazy things in your life. What's the craziest thing you've ever done?
Craziest thing I've ever done? Get married 5 times.
That's okay. Cool. All right.
What can I say?
Cool. So we have you stirred up some controversy saying, of course, a $1 million Bitcoin by 2020, or else you're going to eat your dick.
Right.
Okay. So hypothetically, if it doesn't reach a million by 2020, how would you cook your dick?
I wouldn't cook it. I think I'd eat it raw, but I would subcontract it. I would subcontract it probably to a Bangkok prostitute. And I would require that it be done with precision over a period of years. I mean,
over a period of years?
Over a period of years, of course. I mean, if you're going to eat your dick and you're subcontracting it, you want it done properly. All right, so I get the prostitute, we'd explain things, and over the next 10 years, you may eat my dicks full time. So, all right.
Okay, right, that's a lot to eat. So, on that topic again, would you, because we have lots of Twitter followers following this, would you ever get one of them to eat your dick if they really wanted to?
No, absolutely not.
No.
They wouldn't know what to do. There are no Bangkok prostitutes on Twitter, so.
All right. Okay.
And
cool.
if I want to subcontract the eating of my dick, I want a professional to do it.
Amazing. Okay. So back onto the Twitter topic again. So in terms of the projects that you see, there's definitely a lot of projects. Do you see the kind of ICO space dying out? Do you see the end of
Well, when you say the ICO space, if you're talking about new projects coming to fruition that create new coins, no, that will never die out. If you're talking about ICOs as initial coin offerings in the structure that they currently exist in, no, that will disappear. However, it will be replaced by something else. It'll be replaced by possibly the initial, what's called the ILP, the initial loan procurement, which is exactly the same thing, only instead of taking money in exchange for coins, you take loans. Okay? Listen, loan me $10,000, I'll give you X number of tokens, and we'll pay you back over a period of 10 years.
So why do you think that's better? Why would you think a loan offering would be better?
Because the SEC can't control it. It has nothing to do with assets. It has nothing to do with ownership. It has to do with loans. And it is the Security and Exchange Commission in America which is fucking everything up by overreaching their bounds and going, okay, ICOs are just like stocks, therefore you fall under our command. Well, that kills everything.
But don't you see that there's a lot of people who are kind of irrational in the space, falling victim to ICO scams
course.
out there?
But people fall victim. Listen, forget the ICOs. More people fall victims to the fake John McAfee's giving you bitcoins. Now, what idiot thinks that anybody is going to give a stranger $1 million if Bitcoin or Ethereum or anything? Please God, that does not happen. If you're falling victim to that, there's no help for you. There is no legislation that can protect you from yourself. Please God, disappear from the DNA chain. You know, fall victim to Darwinism. I don't know, but we can't help that. And people, the same thing with ICOs. Listen, we've been with the system has been around long enough that if you say, "Oh, yes, you're building a time machine, wonderful, it's got to be big because then we can go back in time and fix ourselves." No. If you
Throw more money in it.
If you invest in that, I am sorry, I can't help you. You can't. Nobody can help them.
Okay, that's a good way to put it. I mean, it's like it's Darwinism.
It is Darwinism. I'm sorry, but it
absolutely.
is Darwinism. Life is neither fair, nor just, nor safe. And if you believe that you are safe in this world, and that you may do as you wish, and somebody is going to protect you, that's fine, as long as you're 3 years old. But when you hit 21, I'm sorry, nobody's going to protect your ass.
That's a great way to put it. I think definitely a lot of people overassume the safety in the world, and let's hope that stops with with this new world that we're gonna go into. So thank you, John, so much for having this interview. I mean, you've been busy today, and I hope you have a great evening.
Thank you very much, sir.
Cheers.
All right.